Yeah, can you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so today we are going to talk about chrononutrition, which is the upcoming topic and a very interesting topic where we are going to talk about the circadian rhythm and how it affects our bodies and our metabolism. So what is the definition of chrononutrition? It is basically an emerging field building the relationship between temporal eating patterns, circadian rhythms, and metabolic health. When I talk about circadian rhythms and temporal eating, it basically refers to the timing, the frequency, and the regularity of food intake. Chrononutrition is eating anything you like, but at very specific times of the day. Those are the words of Dr. Delabose, who coined this word, but who came up with this diet to help fulfill your body's daily energy needs. Therefore, chrononutrition resets the way we eat according to our biological clock. This is very, very important because today, people with this smartphone in front of us tend to sleep very late, get up very late, and hence the whole body and the metabolism changes. Because of that, very young people also are getting serious metabolic issues. Like when I started my practice way back, a few decades ago, when somebody at the age of 35 or 40 said that they were not well, we would say, you'll be fine, just take jeera pani, you'll be all right. But today we send them directly to an ECG. You must be seeing the papers where very young people who go for exercise also are collapsing. The reason is we are not maintaining discipline, and here timing is very, very important. What does research say? It says that eating meals at certain times can help with weight loss and reduce the risk of disease, a concept called chrononutrition. So the idea is to align your eating with your circadian rhythm so that your body better metabolizes your food. So what did our ancestors do? They went early to bed and they rise early, and their day was very different. Today, what are we doing? People think that what older people do does not work for us. We sleep at 2 a.m. So when can we get up and eat when? So what happens? So here are some research, very strong research to tell you children that how very important it is to follow the timings. In France and Switzerland, breakfast is a very small thing. Lunch is the largest meal. Whereas North America, supper is the largest meal. And it's late too. So in EU, if you see, only 53% have a higher BMI, whereas in the US, it is much higher. But what is happening in India? India is following very fast. We thought we were a developed country and we didn't have these issues. But today we have huge issues. And just 7 years from now, we are talking about between 5 to 9 years, 1.2 crore children who are going to be obese, and which is about 10% of the children. And 10 to 19 years, it's 1.4 crore children, which is 6.2% of that population. And if you see adults, it's no different. It is very, very high. And this is leading to a lot of issues because the non-communicable diseases come only because of this type of binge eating at wrong times, and you go into obesity. So obesity's prevalence expands across income groups. This is our NIN study. And this is shown that every group from lowest to middle to upper higher income groups, it is increasing the weight and obesity. I'm even scared to put my clients on the weighing scale because the weighing scale cannot take their weight. They may not be able to sit on the chairs we provide, because that is the kind of weight we are seeing in adults, which is above 120 kilos. Young children around 10 years who walk into my clinic should be something around 25 to 28 kilos, but they are already 80 kilos. So this is the scenario we are facing, and this is not something to laugh about. This needs serious looking into. So here is a study to say the role of sleep and circadian rhythms in the origin and nutritional management of obesity, which is very, very important. So meal frequency and timing is associated with changes in the body mass index. Here's a study which is not very old. And eating less frequently, no snacking, consuming breakfast is very important, because most people who sleep late, they miss breakfast. Then they eat the wrong things around 11:30, eat a very late lunch and a very late dinner, and they end up having high-calorie foods both at lunch and dinner. So this is very, very important. And high-calorie intake at breakfast versus dinner differentially influences weight loss. So here is an example of a 700-calorie breakfast, 500-calorie lunch, and 200-calorie dinner. This was one group. The other group was just exactly opposite, and they found where at dinner they had 700 calories, 500 at lunch, and 200 at breakfast. These people put on that is the group which had a light dinner, the triglycerides came down, but the one which had a dinner which is heavy, they started putting on weight, and even their lipids were going up. What is India doing? Eating ice cream at 2 a.m.? What is happening to us? The 16th century said, eat like a king, lunch eat like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. And that is coming to be the important thing. But what we are doing today is skipping breakfast. Dinner is late and heavy, and mostly we buy it out and eat. We order the food which is not good at all. We are awake at 2 a.m. and we are hungry for ice cream. So chrono nutrition, circadian rhythm, and personalized nutrition have become the focus, and it's very, very important to follow these things. Now, why? Because the genetic makeup is important, and we as Indians have a genetic makeup for having a higher lineage towards the metabolic diseases. So we have to be doubly more careful, and metabolic health is very important, and it is according to the individual's response to diet. So the interaction between nutrients, cellular, and genetic processes is called nutritional genomics, and nutrigenetics is understanding how the genetic background of an individual impacts the diet. So it's very personalized. The interplay of the circadian rhythm with the gut microbiome and the epigenome is very, very important, because this is what decides our health. If there is a desynchrony, the synchronization between these three is lost because of modern society, because of shift work, stress, jet lag, so on, then there's increased risk of metabolic diseases like diabetes, cardiac disease, certain cancers also. And diet is one of the most important synchronizers in this. So all the modifications that regulate activity of the genes is known as epigenome. So from a nutrigenetics point of view, several genetic variants have been followed, and they found that how people eat depends, and how they become obese all depends not only on their genes, but the change in the gene because of the wrong eating time. So this is very, very important. I'm not going to talk about this busy slide, but this is just to say the circadian biological processes changes the actual metabolic pathways. So there are different types of chronotypes. One is the morning phase, where they get up early, their temperature is alert, their sleep-wake cycle is right. The second is the evening chronotype, where irregular eating is there, meal skipping is there, particularly breakfast is skipped, lower intake of fruits and vegetables was noticed, and they ate more of high energy foods, specifically drinks, high fat foods, and their cardiometabolic health started getting affected very early. The risk of a variety of conditions, metabolic dysfunction, diabetes, gestational problems, abdominal disorders, psychiatric symptoms, everything is related, and also CVD issues. So chronodisruption is defined by Erin et al. As a disruption of the circadian organization of the physiology, which affects the endocrinology, our hormones, which affects the metabolism and the behavior of the person. So it's so well linked. Today, there's so much of mental problems that so many clinics are opening out, and they find one of the main reasons is this improper timing and improper eating. Short-term circadian misalignment following a 10-day laboratory protocol we are going to discuss here, which showed that increased postprandial glucose, insulin, and even increased blood pressure by arterial pressure increasing was found in people who did not sleep and eat at the right timing. Chronic sleep restriction in adolescents cause increased consumption of foods with high glycemic index. This is a randomized crossover study which was done with 3 consecutive nights of short sleep or long sleep, and they found during the short sleep period, it was found that all these problems came. So it showed an increase in fasting insulin levels, insulin resistance, which is the main cause of lot of inflammation in the body, which creates other problems, reduce epinephrine, and also confirmed that it can contribute to obesity markers. So modern lifestyle habits trigger various kinds of vicious cycles which cause obesity because of disrupted circadian rhythms. So we are not talking off our hat. This is all research and it's available. Please look into it, and then you will know how much harm a body can get into if you don't follow the proper circadian rhythm. By changing our eating habits, it's possible to reduce, even eliminate the deleterious effects. The interplay between gene variants and circadian machinery and the diet has been demonstrated by many studies. It remains unclear, however, whether epigenetic changes in the clock genes are the causes of obesity and metabolism, or further research is needed whether it has many more changes which actually causes this problem. Circadian disruptions in sleep, diet, and eating patterns definitely affects the gut microbiota. And when you have dysbiosis, that is, the gut microbiota is not in its good health, then inflammatory pathways are generated and the metabolic syndrome risk increases. They also said that improved postprandial glycemic responses was noticed, which also helped to improve the microbiota if you change your lifestyle. So it's very important to change your lifestyle at the right time so that the harm that is done to your body, you can change it back. But if you continue till the time it leads to diseases, it will take that much longer to jump back. So they assess risk genotypes, and they found that chronotype and chrononutrition with significant implications for prevention and treatment of non-communicable diseases. So the effect of several chronodisruptors such as sleep, frequent snacking. Today, if you see, there are people who are eating every waking hour of the day. They keep popping something into their mouth, and this is not necessary at all. They are not exposed to sunlight, and hence risk of obesity goes up. Gut microbiome, if it's disrupted, can lead to lot of trouble and irregular times it influences the gut microbiome. So basically, to conclude that particular research, the development of omics integrative approach based on the knowledge of individual epigenetic and genetic patterns are necessary, how it affects the gut microbial composition. And with AI, we can come out with a lot of personalized nutrition to match the chrono nutrition. So this was one major study we discussed. Next is we need to integrate. We are the land of traditional medicine known as Ayurveda. Now you see Dr. Mark Heyman, he says, food isn't like medicine, it is medicine itself. He's an MD in allopathy, and it's number one tool for creating the vibrant health we deserve. That is what he says. This is Akal Palanisamy, and he's an MD in allopathy. He has learned Ayurveda, and together he came out with his first book, The Paleo-Vedic Diet, and then the second book, The Tiger Protocol. So if you see the Paleo-Vedic diet, basically it gives you the roadmap to optimal health by integrating two medicines, allopathy and Ayurveda, which takes you into a very good way of taking care of your health. The second book has come as an integrative 5-step approach program to treat and heal autoimmunity, which is going up even in our country, in lot of population, both young children, also in adolescents, and then in adults. So to prevent this, if you start early and you integrate and come out with the right answers, not only of timing, but eating the right type of foods, then you are the king. Then there is also yoga, because when we talk about health and diet, lifestyle is important. So here's a study on yoga, stress, and metabolic parameters in cognition of Indian adolescents. And they found that by doing yoga, there was a huge help, a 17-week standardized program where yoga and pranayam was taught to these children. And look at the number of benefits they found. Reducing stress, adding confidence, enhancing concentration, instilling self-control, improving memory, improves metabolism, managing time, better posture, strengthens endurance, and exemplifies mindfulness. Thank you very much for